Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture of the course Digital Signal Processing. Till now we have seen various operations with the discrete time signals and systems, and we saw that the important filtering operation, that is basically convolution in time domain, can be easily calculated in the frequency domain, as in frequency domain the equivalent of convolution is simply a multiplication, and therefore we have a need of finding the frequency domain representation. And we have also seen that the frequency domain representation for any discrete time system is given by the discrete time Fourier transform of that signal. So suppose we have a discrete time signal, say x of n, then its Fourier transform or the discrete time Fourier transform or the DTFT is given as this x of omega, which can be calculated using this formula, and this formula is known as the analysis equation. Similarly, we can go back from this frequency domain to the time domain using this formula, and this is known as the synthesis equation. So basically, we have this scenario. We have the time domain signal, that is x of n, which is converted to x of omega, that is frequency domain. Now if we consider the domain of this right hand side, it is discrete. So we have this n as discrete. But if we look at this omega here, that is domain of this x of omega, this is continuous. And if we go back to the main aim of having discretization, so it was like we are able to store these discrete values in the computers and have computations that can be easily done using any kind of processors. Now if we need to implement the convolution operation in frequency domain, that is simple multiplication in the frequency domain using computers, now this omega needs to be a discrete value. But here this domain here, that is omega, is continuous. So now there rises a need that we need to discretize this omega. So we need to discretize this omega. Now if we look at the unique range of omega, so the unique range of omega is 2 pi. So in any interval of 2 pi, we have a unique value of x of omega which repeats after 2 pi. So we know that this x of omega is basically periodic with period 2 pi. Now what we need to do is we need to just discretize or divide this 2 pi range into n equal parts. So we need to have 2 pi by n samples in this interval of 2 pi. So if we have n samples, then each sample can be represented by a multiplication by 2. So it's something like this. This is 0. This is 2 pi. And we are just having n samples. So this is the 0th sample here. 1, 2 and so on. And now as this range is 2 pi by n, so this sample here will be equal to 2 pi by n. The sample here would be 2 into 2 pi by n, because this interval length here is basically 2 pi by n. And we know that this value here will be given by the value of k as n minus 1. So when we discretize this omega as 2 pi by n into k, this k will be varying from 0 to n minus 1. So now let us look at what exactly we are doing by discretizing this omega. So what we have is this omega given by 2 pi k by n. So suppose we have n is equal to 2. Therefore this k will take the values as 0 and 1. So this value here can be given by 2 pi by 2 into 0, that is 0 and pi. And also we know that if we consider the z plane, then the Fourier transform is given by the unit circle. So if we visualize this unit circle in the z plane, so this is basically the z plane, and the Fourier transform is given by this unit circle here. And we had taken the samples of omega at 0 and pi. So these are the two samples when we discretize the entire range of 2 pi into just two samples. Now suppose we increase the samples to 6, then we have the sample here, 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 and we have a total of 6 samples. So this is basically 2 pi by 6 into k, that is pi by 3 into k. So it is basically the integer multiple of pi by 3, and this is k is basically varying from 0 to 5. So the first sample is located at 0, the second is located at pi by 3, the third at 2 pi by 3, and so on. Similarly, if we again increase the value of n, so we again pick up the samples of the values at every integer multiple of 2 pi by n, that is 12 here. So we have 2 pi k by 12, so it is basically the integer multiple of pi by 6, and this k is varying from 0 to 11. So again we have a sample at 0, omega equal to 0, then omega equal to pi by 6, then omega equal to pi by 3, and so on. So we are just leaving out the samples of omega that lie between these two values. So we are basically discretizing the value of omega into some finite values or finite number. So basically what we have is this omega to be substituted as or discretized as 2 pi k by n, where this k is ranging from 0 to n minus 1. Now one more thing that we need to observe here is, as we increase the value of this n, we are approaching more towards the unit circle. So therefore, as we have this n tending towards infinity, then this 2 pi k by n would be basically approaching, or rather this interval 2 pi by n would be approaching towards 0, and again we would be getting a continuum, and therefore we would retain back our x of omega. So at n tending to infinity, we are again going to get back our original discrete Fourier transform, or rather discrete time Fourier transform to be more specific. So if we substitute this value in the analysis equation, that is here, so what we have is the analysis equation as x of omega is equal to summation n running from minus infinity to infinity x of n into e to the power minus j omega n. So now we have this omega as 2 pi k by n, which is equal to summation n running from minus infinity to infinity x of n into e to the power minus j into 2 pi k by n into n. Now what we observe here is this 2 pi by n is basically a constant, and the only variable here is k, and therefore this entire expression is basically a function of k. So we can simply write this as x of k. So we have something like this. So now what we will do is a simple mathematical manipulation. We will split this entire sequence into small intervals of n duration. So what we are doing here is we are having the first interval as n equal to 0 to n minus 1 x of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi k n by n plus summation n running from n to 2n minus 1 x of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi k n by n, and so on. And similarly, if we go to the negative side, then we have summation n running from minus n to minus 1. So it would be x of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi k n by n, and so on till minus infinity. So this can be written in more compact form as summation L running from minus infinity to infinity, summation n running from Ln to Ln plus n minus 1 x of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi k n by n. So if we take the value of L as 0, so this would be 0 to n minus 1, and we would get this portion here. If we have L as minus 1, then it would be minus n to minus 1. So we have this equation, or this part of the equation here, and similarly if we have L equal to 1, we get this portion. So this is a more compact representation of the same expansion which we had done earlier. So we have something like this here. Now we will do again a mathematical manipulation by just having the index of this x of n changed by n minus ln. So what we have here is summation L running from minus infinity to infinity. Inside the bracket, the limits now would be L equal to 0 to n minus 1. Then we have here x of n minus ln, and then we have here e to the power minus j 2 pi k, then n minus ln upon n. So this is what we have here. So this is n ranging from 0 to n minus 1. Now if we consider this exponent here, the complex exponent, we can write it as e to the power minus j 2 pi k n by n multiplied by e to the power minus j 2 pi k l, and this n and n gets cancelled. So if we observe carefully this exponent, this complex exponent here, so this is basically the integer multiple of 2 pi, and the value of this exponent is basically 1, and therefore what we are left with is only this part. So we can replace this entire exponent by this simplified version, and one more thing that we are going to do is we are just going to interchange the position of this summation, and therefore what we get is something like this. So we have just interchanged the position of the summation. So we have summation n running from 0 to n minus 1 outside, and the summation which was having the variable as L inside. And we can see that only this part of the expression, or the entire expression, is dependent of L. So let us take this entire thing that is inside the bracket outside, or rather let us analyze it separately. So we have it something like this. So it is L running from minus infinity to infinity, x of n minus ln. So for that, let us take a simple example. So let's say the x of n value is given by a sequence, say 1, 2, 3, where this 1 is located at n equal to 0. So we have this one at n equal to 0, and let's say the value of this n is equal to 3. So what we have is summation L is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n minus L into 3. So if we observe this sequence carefully, what we have is this summation. What we have is, we have x of n, that is 1, 2, 3. So this is basically x of n, plus we have the shifted version of this x of n, that is x of n minus 3. So the value of x of n that was initially at 0 is now at n equal to 3. So we have here 1, 2, 3, and similarly we have on the negative side x of n plus 3. So the value which was at n equal to 0 is now at n equal to minus 3. So it is 1, 2, 3, and so on. So basically it leads to a sequence which is periodic in nature. So it is something like this. This is x of n, and this is the periodic representation of this x of n. So we have x of n here, then this is x of n plus 3, n minus 3, then this portion here is x of n minus 6, and so on, and this portion here is x of n plus 3. So we can see that the x of n is repeated after, or rather at every integer multiple of n, and the same thing is basically observed here. So what we can say is this summation, that is summation L running from minus infinity to infinity x of n minus ln, is a periodic signal, and it is periodic with period n. So the period of this signal, this periodic signal, is n. As we can see that it repeats after every integer multiple of n equal to 3. So this we can represent it as xp of n, and therefore this x of k can be written as summation n running from 0 to n minus 1 xp of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi kn by n. So if we observe this interval of n here, that is 0 to n minus 1, so it is basically this interval. So it is this interval, that is 0 to 2, or rather 0 to 3 minus 1, that is 0 to n minus 1. And if we observe this interval, then in this interval xp of n, or the periodic version of the signal, has a value of x of n. So this xp of n for n running from 0 to n minus 1 can be simply replaced by x of n. So what we have is x of k is equal to summation n running from 0 to n minus 1 x of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi k n by n, and this expression that we have obtained is known as the discrete Fourier transform of the signal x of n. So this is referred as discrete Fourier transform or DFT of signal x of n. So let us number this equation as 1. So now we have the conversion from x of n to x of k. So now we need to get back to x of n once we are given the value of x of k. So for that, what we are going to consider is not the x of n term, rather this periodic representation or the xp of n term. So we know that we have this xp of n which is equal to summation n running from 0 to n minus 1, or sorry, it is given as L running from minus infinity to infinity x of n minus ln, and this is periodic with period n, and its fundamental frequency is omega naught, which can be calculated as 2 pi by n. And this is a periodic signal, and therefore in order to find the frequency domain representation for a periodic signal, instead of going for Fourier transform, we go for Fourier series. So for periodic signals we have discrete time Fourier series which is given as, or the coefficients AKs are given as 1 over n summation n running from 0 to n minus 1, or rather any period, any interval of duration n, or any duration of n samples into xp of n. So the value of xp of n in that particular duration into e to the power minus j kn omega naught, and this xp of n is given by summation k running from 0 to n minus 1. So it is ak into e to the power j k n omega naught. And we know that this omega naught is equal to 2 pi by n. So this can be replaced by 2 pi by n. So what we have is ak is equal to 1 by n summation n running from 0 to n minus 1, and in our considered signal in the duration of 0 to n minus 1, this xp of n is equal to x of n, so we can just replace it as x of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi kn by n. And now if we observe the equation 1 or the DFT expression, then this x of k, this entire term in the Fourier series expression that is here, that is inside this bracket, can be replaced by x of k. So we have ak is equal to x of k by n. So we know that this x of n, using this equation here, that is the synthesis equation for the Fourier series, we can find it as x of n is equal to summation k running from 0 to n minus 1 ak into e to the power j 2 pi kn by n, which is equal to summation k running from 0 to n minus 1. This ak is given by x of k upon n into e to the power j 2 pi kn by n, and therefore what we have is this x of n is equal to 1 over n summation k running from 0 to n minus 1 x of k into e to the power j 2 pi kn by n, and this is known as the inverse discrete Fourier transform. Or IDFT. So we have seen two expressions for the DFT or the discrete Fourier transform. So the first equation was x of k is equal to summation n running from 0 to n minus 1 x of n into e to the power minus j 2 pi kn by n, and the second equation was given as x of n is equal to 1 by n summation k running from 0 to n minus 1 x of k into e to the power j 2 pi kn by n, and this equation 1 here is the DFT, or it is known as the analysis equation for DFT, and this second equation is known as inverse DFT or IDFT, and it is also known as the synthesis equation. Now another thing that we need to note here is when we are discretizing omega, we are getting this periodic sequence. But initially the signal which we had considered was 1, 2, 3, which is not at all a periodic sequence. So this discretization in the frequency domain is resulting an inherent periodicity in the time domain, which is periodic with period n. So main thing, or one more important thing that we need to note here is discretization of omega, that is, or discretization in frequency domain results in inherent periodicity in time domain. So by this what we mean is, initially we have this x of n which is non-periodic, but when we discretize the omega axis, we obtain this xp of n, which is equal to summation L running from minus infinity to infinity x of n minus ln, and this is periodic with period n. So this discretization is resulting into inherent periodicity in the time domain. So in this lecture, we have seen the discrete Fourier transform, and we said that as we need to have computations using computers or any processors, we need to have discretized version of the frequency domain representation for any discrete time signal which was initially in continuous form, or the domain was continuous in nature. So for that we discretize the frequency domain or omega into n equal parts, and that results us with analysis and synthesis equation for discrete Fourier transform, which is given by these two equations. Then we said that as we discretize the omega axis into n equal parts, this results into inherent periodicity in the time domain. What we mean is the initial signal whose frequency domain representation, or the DFT, we need to find is basically a completely non-periodic signal, but as we discretize this omega, what we are left with is a sequence which is of something like this form, and we can say that this sequence or the repetitive sequence is basically periodic with period n, and this is nothing but an inherent periodicity introduced by omega. So let's stop here. Thank you.